CSI Soccer Complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island, CSI Sportsnet presents exclusive CUNYAC NCAA Division III women's soccer coverage. In this week's CUNY Game of the Week, the College of Staten Island takes on the Bulldogs of Brooklyn College. Good morning, everybody. This is Joe Foreman, joined by Mike Babuski, bringing you all the action live from midfield during today's game. And Mike, the Dolphins come in having played 2 games since the last time we were on the air, when the Dolphins defeated CCNY in our previous CUNYAC Game of the Week. And since then, a 5-0 loss for the Dolphins at the hands of Montclair State and a 2-0 victory over Lehman College. What are you looking for heading into today's matchup against Brooklyn?
Yeah, Joe, I think the first thing we should say is, of course, a lot of people might have tuned in and expected this game to begin at 11 o'clock, but because of a little bit of a transportation issue with Brooklyn College, the game obviously pushed back. We're going to be about 10 minutes away now or so from the opening touch of the game here in this CUNYAC Game of the Week. But you're right, Joe, for the CSI Dolphin team. They haven't played a game in 10 days now. Their last game was one of their biggest games of the year, a big 2-1 victory against Lehman College out on the road, and it was a victory that really wrapped up the CUNYAC Conference regular season for the CSI Dolphins this year. And, it was a big win for the Dolphins. It was really a very hard-fought game for CSI. Lehman did a very nice job in that game, and, the Dolphins came in and were playing very well, and, Lehman College did a very nice job holding the Dolphins to just 2 goals on the game. But Dolphins able to win that game and wrap up another regular season title, and, looking to come in and play today, Joe, 10 days off, their final game before the conference tournament begins. And even then, Joe, another big layoff until that tournament starts.
Well, you mentioned that game against Lehman, Mike. The goal scorers in that game for the Dolphins, Nermina Brocic and Samantha Laval, both of whom will not be in the starting lineup today against Brooklyn. That could be due in large part to, as you mentioned before, the Dolphins having wrapped up the CUNYAC regular season championship with that last victory over Lehman. CSI now 5-0 in the CUNYAC Conference. John Jay behind them at 4-1, but CSI will own that tiebreaker as the Dolphins defeated the Bloodhounds earlier this season. So CSI has wrapped up the top spot in the CUNYAC tournament. Of course, we look forward to that upcoming later this week, but not only this game against Brooklyn remaining on the Dolphins' schedule, but one more home broadcast during the regular season on Monday against Rosemont. And of course, as I mentioned during the men's broadcast earlier a couple of days ago, both the men's and women's team would love to head into the CUNYAC tournament with positive momentum, playing well. The men certainly well on their way to doing that after a big victory over Baruch earlier this week. The women hope to do the same and play well in their last 2 games.
Yeah, and Joe, before we went on the air, it was senior day for the Dolphins, and the Dolphins honored 5 seniors here this afternoon, and the 5 seniors were Alexis Appel, and then 4 real very key players for the CSI Dolphin team: Brianna DiStefano, Catherine Mulligan, of course, a long-time stalwart on the back defensive line for the Dolphins; Lauren Smith, who's had a fabulous career as a CSI Dolphin, and of course is the only CSI Dolphin ever to score a goal in NCAA tournament play, as she picked up a big goal in last year's NCAA tournament. And Adriana Perello, another player that's been such a mainstay of the CSI Dolphin team, Joe. And we talk about it all the time, how quickly these 2, 3, or 4 years could go, no matter how long you're playing collegiate athletics. And for these 5 players, their final game, their final conference home game, I should say, in the regular season here this afternoon. And for players like Lauren Smith and Catherine Mulligan and Brianna DiStefano, these are players that have known nothing but CUNYAC championships in their pedigree, and of course are going to look to go out with one here in 2018.
And those players are some key players the Dolphins will be losing following the end of this season. Of course, plenty of time left to go in 2018. You mentioned they're seeking yet another CUNYAC championship. But Lauren Smith this season having another great year with 5 goals and 7 assists. Adriana Perello with 3 goals and 5 assists as well. And then key players on the back line for the Dolphins, Catherine Mulligan and Brianna DiStefano, also will be leaving the team after this year. Alexa Appel, you had me make the same mistake, Mike, but it's Alexa Appel, will also be graduating this year as well. Appel does have a pair of goals, and during the most recent game, or I should say one of our most recent games against FDU Florham, she did score a goal that brought that game close. It was a 2-0 game, a big goal by Appel immediately after entering that game against the Devils back on October 3rd. So she's given the Dolphins some quality minutes as a substitute as well, and really all of these players are players the Dolphins will turn to down the stretch of this season as they seek yet another CUNYAC championship.
Yeah, Joe, and for the Dolphins, they're going to go into the tournament as the number 1 seed, and another big opportunity. And of course, that tournament will take place this year at Brooklyn College. So, exciting things for the Dolphins coming down the stretch. And, it's been another tight year in the CUNYAC Women's Conference here this year. And, very surprisingly, John Jay coming up with a 4-1 record and playing very well. And, we mentioned earlier the Dolphins' last game, just a 2-1 victory against Lehman College. And, we've seen CCNY play as well. And, we know they have a competitive team. And, and Brooklyn College, of course, is another team that, very recently, and they were the last CUNYAC championship since the Dolphins' run began. So we know that they're capable of as well. So, another exciting CUNYAC tournament coming up on the women's side. And, we expect a major excitement on the men's side as well. And, of course, the CSI men's Dolphins team coming in, 8-0, first place for head coach John Tardy in the conference. The first time he's ever led the Dolphins to an undefeated conference regular season record. And, that's another tournament that's going to go, you don't know which way it's going to go. And both tournaments should be really exciting as we get ready to head into the end of October, beginning of November.
Well, you mentioned the excitement of the upcoming CUNYAC tournament. One of the most exciting games we've covered this year in women's soccer, the women's match against CCNY. They took on the Beavers back on October 6th. As I mentioned, that game, a 4-2 Dolphins victory, one of the best CUNYAC matchups we've covered here on CSI Sportsnet this year. I also mentioned John Jay earlier. John Jay 4-1 in the CUNYAC game that we covered earlier in the season. The Dolphins with a big 3-0 victory in that one. Outshot the Bloodhounds 22-6 in that game, 15-3 in shots on goal in favor of the College of Staten Island. Goal scorers for CSI were Samantha Laval, Mersada Polinkovic, and Lauren Smith. And the Beavers and John Jay represent the two teams immediately behind CSI in the women's CUNYAC conference standings. So those are two teams to keep an eye on as we head towards CUNYAC tournament time. And with only a couple of minutes before the starting lineups, we'll turn our attention towards Brooklyn very quickly and some players the Dolphins will need to be aware of out on the pitch in this game. As a team, the Bulldogs coming in averaging just shy of 2 goals per game, 1.75 goals per game exactly for the Brooklyn College Bulldogs, but they allow 5 goals per game, and there is no doubt they will need to be better than that defensively in this one. The leading goal scorer for the Bulldogs is Kerry Kenna with 11 goals on the season, and Rachel Gomez also helping to lead the way on the attack for Brooklyn College with 3 goals and 8 assists. So those two players, two names the Dolphins will have to look out for on the pitch today. And again, if Brooklyn wants a good opportunity to win this game, they will certainly have to be better defensively than they've been so far this season.
Yeah, and Joe, a lot of times when teams struggle, it's where are the goals going to come from? And, that's really been a big problem here this year for Brooklyn College because they're coming in with a record of just 3-13 on the year. And, they've just scored 21 goals this year. And, 16 of those 21 goals came in wins against York College and Medgar Evers. So, if you take those two games out here in 2018, they've really struggled, and that's going to be the problem for them here this afternoon. One, they're first going to have to stop a very high-powered CSI Dolphin attack offensively, and then secondly, they're going to have to find a way to score a goal against this Dolphin team. So it's a big task for Brooklyn College, but you know that they're very familiar with this Dolphin team. They're going to come in very well prepared and ready to play, and it should be an exciting contest, Joe, as the clock winds down. We're just 2 minutes or so away from the start of today's game, a game that we mentioned before, originally scheduled to start at 11 o'clock, but now kick off just about 2 minutes or so away.
And when it comes down to it for Brooklyn, it is opportunities that they lack so far this season. Only 65 shots on goal in 2018 on 112 attempted shots, and they'll certainly need to make a big improvement on the attack as well as defensively, as I just mentioned, in order to compete with the College of Staten Island in today's CUNYAC Game of the Week. So we're about a minute away from the playing of the national anthem and introduction of the starting lineups. We'll step aside, and when we come back, Mike and I will have the starting lineup and the call of Dolphins Bulldogs in this week's CUNYAC Game of the Week.
No one ever won a race because it was their turn. And guzzling the right sports drink never won all 3 sets. You can't talk your way through a tournament, and luck doesn't last. Real champions know that it takes more to do more, because wanting it just isn't good enough. You've got to be smarter, faster, tougher. After all, if championships were easy, everybody would have one. City University of New York Athletic Conference. Learn, play, succeed.
The ceremony was a blast.
It was just like this surreal moment of my dreams are coming true.
When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said, "Oh, I apologize. She won't be taking you in as a client."
We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to.
And sitting there in that small, cold room, I wanted to cry, just thinking, what did we bring this kid into?
We're simply asking to treat our family the same way that you would treat any family.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be. So we were walking to school. At the corner, we waited for the traffic light.
I started thinking about lunch. Mom pat me turkey and cheese.
She's
I really
smart,
want cheese pizza,
but
like at Luigi's.
sometimes her mind
They have this
wanders.
video game there, and Kate's got the high score. We should have a sleepover. Maybe I should pack my pajamas.
I remember saying, Laura? Laura,
I think I heard Mom say something.
the sign says don't walk.
Sometimes it's so overwhelming.
When we finally got there,
She gave me a hug goodbye.
I really hope she doesn't
I
have
really
another
hope I
bad
don't
day
have
at
another
school
bad day at
today.
school today.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. That's why there's Understood.org, a free online resource for the parents of the 1 in 5 kids with learning and attention issues. Here you'll get personalized recommendations, practical tips, daily access to experts, and more. Go from misunderstanding to Understood.org.
Be right back.
Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I know,
I
I
was.
heard. It wasn't you. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Here she comes. I, Krista, take you, Jamie, to be my wife.
The ceremony was a blast.
It was just like this surreal moment of my dreams are coming true.
When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said, "Oh, I apologize. She won't be taking you in as a client."
We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to.
And sitting there in that small, cold room, I wanted to cry, just thinking, what did we bring this kid into?
We're simply asking to treat our family the same way that you would treat any family.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
And we're back from the CSI Soccer Complex. Dolphins and Bulldogs about to get underway. Starters have just been introduced for both teams, and with the starting lineups for both sides, my broadcast partner, Mike Babusky.
Thanks a lot, Joe. First for the visiting Brooklyn College Bulldogs, coming in with a 3-9 record overall, 2-3 in the CUNYAC Conference. It'll be number 5, Kenny Pena in goal. The remainder of the starting lineups for the Bulldogs: number 2, Melanie Granate; number 6, Kerry Kenya; number 7, Dalia Hernandez; number 8, Rita Henriquez; number 9, Deborah Vixama; number 11, Fagriz Tohiva; number 17, Rachel Gomez; number 19, Narasha Lynch; number 20, Astrid Rivera; and number 23, Naomi Vasquez. For the College of Staten Island, it'll be Kayla DiBenedetto in goal. The remainder of the starters for the Dolphins here this afternoon: number 2, Lauren Smith; number 3, Paulina Ambrose; number 5, Rebecca DeLoya; number 7, Victoria Sanchez; number 11, Nicole Mignon; number 13, Lisbeth Aparicio; number 16, Catherine Mulligan; number 19, Alexis Appel; number 22, Brianna DiStefano; and number 28, Adriana Perello. So Dolphins and Bulldogs, a little late, Joe, but we're finally ready, just about to get underway here this afternoon.
Well, very quickly, we'll make a run through the CUNYAC standings. We mentioned some of these positions in the pregame. Dolphins atop the CUNYAC Conference for the women with a record of 5-0. John Jay immediately behind them with a record of 4-1. CCNY in the third spot at 3-2. Lehman in the fourth spot at 3-1. Brooklyn in fifth at 2-3. York sixth, 1-5. And Medgar at the bottom of the CUNYAC with an 0-6 conference record. And I don't have the last matchup, if there was one, between Brooklyn and Lehman in front of me, but if Lehman has already defeated Brooklyn, then the top 4 teams in the conference are set, as is our CUNYAC women's tournament bracket.
Yeah, Brooklyn did defeat Lehman College, Joe, in their last game by a final, I believe, of 6-1. So that did wrap up the CUNYAC standings and kind of lock them in here as we get ready for the start of the CUNYAC tournament. We should mention on the women's side, Joe, just the top 4 teams make the tournament. There is no bye. It's 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3. Those games will take place at Brooklyn College, but, you know, again, a good period of time in between those games for both all 4 teams to get ready.
So with that, Lehman victory over Brooklyn on October 17th, a 6-1 Lightning victory. The Lightning clinch a spot in the CUNYAC tournament. The 4 teams are set. It will be Staten Island, John Jay, CCNY, and Lehman. And it will be Staten Island taking on either CCNY or Lehman in that opening round game. CCNY may actually be able to move up. We'll have to check on that. But either way, we are underway from the CSI Soccer Complex. Dolphins and Bulldogs in your CUNYAC game of the week. Brooklyn possessed the ball first for just a moment. Now it's Alexa Appel who gives it up to Lauren Smith. Dolphins moving forward on the attack as Smith tries to play Victoria Sanchez through to the outside, but that ball just a bit too long, and it rolls over the touchline.
And, Joe, before we get underway here, I just want to give a shout-out to two of the newest members of the Dolphin Nation, my good buddies Lucas and Mateo Miller, both tuning into the game here this afternoon and, very excited and, looking forward to a big afternoon of soccer here this afternoon, and glad a couple of new young fans are tuning in and listening to us here this afternoon.
It's always exciting to see our viewer base growing as it has now for the past 3 years since I've been here, and I'm sure it grew quite a bit before that as well. Though I'd like to think it grew a little bit faster after I came on board, but that's just my ego talking. Dolphins possess the ball in the final third. Ambrose makes a nice move to get some space on the outside. She moves in toward the box and looking for Appel. It's knocked away by the Bulldogs. Deloya comes away with that ball, moving down toward the corner. Now it's Mignon with it, moving towards the middle of the field. Finds Adriana Perello. Perello once again looking for Appel. Appel trying to get the ball into the box. It's knocked away, but the Dolphins come away with possession once again. As Aparicio passes up the far sideline to Victoria Sanchez, who makes a move to the inside. Sanchez moving with some speed, and she goes down in the box. No foul called. Brooklyn clears it away.
Yeah, Dolphins coming out and really initiating the pressure here in the early going, pushing Brooklyn back. That ball knocked over the touchline, so it'll be a free kick upcoming here for Brooklyn College. But, through the first 2 minutes, Joe, a lot of time spent in Bulldog territory.
Good start for the Dolphins on the attack, but no shot attempts yet as Rachel Gomez takes the goal kick out toward midfield. Initially, it was on the foot of Lauren Smith, but it's taken away by Vasquez. Bulldogs looking to move forward past midfield with possession for the first time, but they lose it in the middle third of the field as Victoria Sanchez has it for the Dolphins. Good pass to Paulina Ambrose on the outside. Ambrose gets by Hernandez, looking for Lauren Smith in the middle of the box. Pass was intercepted, cleared out toward midfield. Dolphins get it back once again as Deloya gives it up to Ambrose. She's dispossessed. Bulldogs working toward midfield. That pass was intended for Vixama, and the Dolphins come away with it once again. Nicole Mignon has it. Over to Perello in the midfield circle and up to Lauren Smith. Smith working against the challenge, gives it up to Catherine Mulligan. Dolphins work it toward the far sideline. This is Sanchez. Now Aparicio. Aparicio ahead of the Bulldogs defense, moving into the box with some speed. Crosses it in front. That one may have hit off the heel of Appel. Shot fired by Lauren Smith and blocked in front. As offsides was called, I think that ball may have hit Appel. Perhaps it was even offsides before the shot was taken.
There, though, regardless of the outcome of that call, though, Joe, the Dolphins are finding some space in the Bulldog defensive area. They're breaking through. That was the second time here in the early going that they've had good opportunities toward the center of the box. They haven't converted with a good shot on goal yet, but they put some good early pressure on here through the first 4 minutes of the game.
And this will be another goal kick for Brooklyn College. Goal kick taken out towards midfield. It was off the foot of Vasquez, but the Dolphins come away with it. Mignon gives it up to Smith. Smith looking to work it toward the outside. Pass was partially blocked, and a foul is called.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a handball, Joe, on the play for the Bulldogs. Nonetheless, either way, it'll result in a free kick here for the Dolphins. And, you can see already here, Joe, in the early going, the Dolphins forcing the Bulldogs to get back into a defensive shell, and that looks like it's going to be how Brooklyn's going to play today. Try to keep this a 1-0, nothing game.
Free kick by Perello, bobbled initially by Pena in goal, but she's able to reel it in. with some time to spare before the Dolphins came bearing down on her. She will punt it out towards the midfield circle. It winds up on the foot of Mulligan.
Should mention, Joe, the CUNYAC Player of the Week here in week number 7, Namina Bracic. Namina got the game's opening goal and assisted on the winning goal in the 2-1 win against the Lehman College Lightning, so she figured in both goals for the Dolphins. 4 goals on the year, in addition to 3 assists for Namina, the CUNYAC Player of the Week.
And it appears as if she will get some rest in this game. May very well come in as a substitute. Same goes for Samantha Laval. But if I had to guess, I would say those 2 players won't enter this game. We know Laval had an injury earlier in the year, and Bracic had her leg taped up in more than one game as well. So it's a good possibility we won't see either of those 2 players in this one. It's a lot of offensive firepower missing for the Dolphins, but that hasn't stopped them at other points this season where they've been missing some key players. As for the first time today, Kayla DiBenedetto gets a touch as the ball rolls into her arms. Just over 6 minutes in to this first half between the Dolphins and Bulldogs. Still no score. As the 2 teams fight for possession in the midfield, it will be Brooklyn getting the last foot on it, attempting to play it into that final third, but it rolls over the far sideline for a Dolphins throw-in. It will be Mulligan to chase this one down and throw it in for the Dolphins, and she gives it up to Aparicio.
You know, we mentioned earlier, Joe, Kerry Kenna leading the Bulldogs with 11 goals on the year, so she's the big goal scorer for the Bulldogs, number 6. So she'll be the player the Dolphins have to keep an eye on defensively here this afternoon.
Here comes Ambrose. Ambrose works it past one challenge, is met in the box by another, and that was Kerry Kenna with the defensive play to clear that one. Like it went over the touchline, so it will be a Dolphins corner.
Yeah, first Dolphin corner here of the afternoon as they continue to try to press forward here. They've had the edge in territorial play here so far this afternoon, but haven't really gotten that good shot on goal. And, of course, it'll be Adriana Perella, one of the seniors, honored here this afternoon to take the corner, as she has throughout the year.
Perello's corner towards the center of the box, off the head of a player. Not sure if it was a Dolphin or a Bulldog. It was a Dolphin, so CSI with the header wide, and it will be a goal kick for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, big opportunity that time for the Dolphins. A beautiful corner kick by Perello. She served it right up to the near post, but the header went wide, so it'll be a free kick upcoming here for the Bulldogs. Dolphins credited with 1 shot on goal here in the early going, and Brooklyn really trying to play in a shell here this afternoon and try to prevent those good chances. And it's a tough task to do for 90 minutes against this Dolphin team, but they've gotten off to a pretty good start doing it here, Joe, so far.
As the Dolphins and Bulldogs fight for possession in midfield, Dolphins come away with it. Smith trying to find Ambrose with that pass. It got there. And Ambrose looking to play it into the box. Plays it a bit too far ahead of Appel and Victoria Sanchez. You mentioned today Senior Day, Mike, and once again, for those who missed the pregame, Dolphins seniors Lauren Smith, Catherine Mulligan, Alexa Appel, Brianna DiStefano, and Adriana Perello were all honored before the game and presented with commemorative frames and flowers on behalf of the College of Staten Island.
And that's a lot of talent to lose in a single year for the Dolphins. So, you know, as usual, Joe, you go season to season, and every year is its own experience. And Dolphins looking to defend their 3-time CUNYAC championship here this year.
Ball with Sanchez down around the corner. A long cross by Sanchez. That's over the head of Appel. Ambrose waiting for it as Appel finds her. That one crossed to the opposite side of the goal, and perhaps even a shot that could have curved in as Victoria Sanchez came charging in order to receive that cross, but just a bit too far ahead of her, and it will be another goal kick for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and that's a couple of times here in the last few minutes, Joe, that Sanchez was just about a step away from having a good opportunity on goal, but as you mentioned, the pass a little bit too far ahead, so it'll be another free kick here for the Bulldogs as the Dolphins try to press off that free kick.
It's Aparicio working along the far sideline, met by a pair of Bulldogs, and Brooklyn comes away with it. Pass attempt blocked by the Dolphins, and they take possession right back. As this is Lawrence Smith just beyond the midfield circle. Puts the ball through to Ambrose. Coming out, attempting to meet that ball was Pena, and Ambrose's shot is just wide.
Yeah, and I kept looking over to the side, Joe, to see if the flag would go up. It never did, so that shot would have counted, and Ambrose just rolled it past the near post, and that was the best opportunity here in the first half for the Dolphins in the 11th minute, and Ambrose just missing, giving the Dolphins a 1-0 lead.
Ambrose had plenty of wide-open real estate to make that run and plenty of space to put that shot. It travels just wide, and perhaps that's a product of the goalkeeper bearing down on you and putting pressure on you, getting right in your face as you shoot the ball. But either way, a golden opportunity goes by the wayside for the Dolphins as we are now 11 minutes into this first half. Still waiting for our first goal of the game. In the last matchup between these two teams last year, CSI picked up a big 7-0 victory. CSI already with 3 shots in this game, 1 of those on goal. They've also picked up a corner kick as well. Here comes DeLoya. She gives it up to Appel, who finds Perello. Perello working against Vasquez, gives it up to Nicole Mignon. Mignon works it over to the far sideline. It's Aparicio trying to move forward, but she's dispossessed, and that's over the far sideline. Brooklyn to throw in. Throw in travels just over the midfield line, and Aparicio volleys it up into the air towards Sanchez, and Bulldogs will let it go over the sideline once again for another throw in.
Yeah, Brooklyn moving up the field a little bit here on the Dolphins. CSI doing a nice job pressing Brooklyn, but still unable to break through.
DeLoya receives that pass from Perello, now looking for Ambrose. That pass far too long. Looks like it'll be a throw-in for Brooklyn deep in their own defensive territory. Throw travels along the near sideline, and loose ball finds its way onto the foot of Alexa Appel. Appel gets by one challenge and tries to play it in front. I think that ball was partially deflected, so it would be another Dolphins corner. It is their second of the game.
And, you know, Brooklyn College going to finish off the regular CUNYAC season probably on the outside looking in, Joe, of the CUNYAC tournament, but you know, coming out and playing well here this afternoon. Another opportunity for the Dolphins inside the box, and Brooklyn clears it away.
Ball was initially cleared away, found its way back to Perello, and that ball into the box finds nobody and travels straight over the touchline. The other 3-win teams in the CUNYAC on the women's side are CCNY and Lehman. We already covered in the pregame that Lehman defeated Brooklyn earlier this year. I'll have to check on CCNY as well, but if CCNY did defeat the Bulldogs, then Brooklyn's season will end on the outside looking in, as you just mentioned, Mike. Throw in for the Bulldogs along the far sideline, and we'll head right back in the other direction. Ball into Lauren Smith, met by a couple of Bulldogs, but she's able to maintain possession, work it back out towards Aparicio, and that's over the touchline once again. Throw in towards Kenna, who quickly loses it. Dolphins have it in the midfield circle. It's Ambrose over to Mignon. Mignon looking for Perello. And now Perello gives it up to DeLoya. DeLoya moving in. Gets right by one Bulldogs defender. That was Hernandez. Loses it to a second, and the ball winds up in front, and Brooklyn forced to clear it as we'll have our first substitution of the game.
Yeah, the Dolphins will make that substitution as Masadi Palinkovic will come into the game, and she will replace Polina Ambrose. Ambrose very active in those first 15 minutes, Joe, and had a golden opportunity, but just rolled a shot past the near post.
Certainly a good 14 minutes plus, I should say 15 minutes on the money for Ambrose. And I do have that schedule in front of me. Brooklyn did indeed lose to CCNY as well as Lehman, so Brooklyn will wrap up the season on the outside looking in. Brooklyn fell to the Beavers 4-2. Same score the Dolphins defeated CCNY by back on October 6th. Dolphins will look to make it a perfect season in the CUNYAC Conference with a victory in this game. The men already accomplishing that feat in their last game earlier this week against Baruch, a 4-0 Dolphins victory. Here CSI will attempt a free kick from inside the midfield circle. Once again, Perello to take it. Free kick towards the top of the box off the hip of Appel. Mignon tried to give it back to Appel, who then volleys it up in the air off the foot of Palinkovic, and Appel fires wide of goal.
Yeah, that time Pena came out and made the catch for the Bulldogs, and she'll punt it away. And a little bit colder in here this afternoon, Joe, than the weather we've had for most of the year, but turned out to be a pretty decent day so far.
Well, the temperature has dropped quickly since our senior day presentation, that's for sure. Sun was shining during that presentation. Now we're completely covered in clouds as Palinkovic receives that ball through, moves in toward goal and fires, and that is saved by Pena as Palinkovic goes down following that shot attempt, and a big save there for Ketty Pena.
Yeah, that was a great save that time by Pena. Palinkovic had a lot of room and thought she might be able to finish that one, but Pena came up big with the save to keep this game level.
Dolphins have had two great chances to put the first goal of this game up on the scoreboard and have failed to do so as Brooklyn moves forward, and I believe that's the first possession Brooklyn has had beyond midfield in this game with about 27:45 to go in the first half.
Yeah, Dolphins have done a good job dominating possession, and they've had, at least 2 or 3 golden opportunities here, Joe, but so far have been able to break through with that first goal.
Possession time has been all Dolphins to this point. Of course, all of the shot opportunities belong to CSI as well. Dolphins being forced to retreat a bit toward their own goal as De Benedetto clears it away toward midfield. Henriquez had it for a moment. It's taken away by Sanchez, who's moving forward with speed. Sanchez makes a break toward the inside. Beats one challenger, moves into the box. Sanchez on goal and in. Victoria Sanchez going nearly coast to coast. She began that sequence from just about midfield after the Dolphins regained possession in front of their own goal. De Benedetto cleared it. It found Sanchez, and Sanchez goes from midfield all the way into the box, scoring the first goal of the game.
Yeah, what a beautiful play that time by Victoria Sanchez, Joe. As you mentioned, she streaked past one Bulldog defender and went flying in toward the goal and had an opportunity, went one-on-one with Pena, made no mistake, drilled it into the back of the net. And that's a big goal, Joe, because that gets the Dolphins off to a 1-0 lead. And, of course, once you get that first goal, it allows you to play with so much more confidence.
Well, Sanchez took the ball away from Rita Henriquez right around midfield and then took it all the way and finished for the first Dolphins goal of this game. CSI now leads 1-0 with about 26:40 to go in the first half. Here comes Aparicio looking for Palinkovic. She knocks that one down, tries to work toward the middle of the field, and then fires one that's blocked. Brooklyn looking to clear it.
First second of the season, scored by number 7, Victoria Sanchez.
However, the Dolphins
in the 18th minute.
pick up possession once again. Nyon gives it up to Sanchez, working along the far sideline. Met by 2 Bulldogs, goes down, and we have a whistle. There was a Bulldog down closer to us as the clock is stopped. And that player will limp off the field. It's Rita Henriquez.
Yeah, so a big goal there by Sanchez. She had a couple of opportunities earlier in this first half, Joe, right in the beginning of the game, and was really just about a step or so short. And that last goal, she took no chances. She took it herself and, was able to beat a Bulldog defender one-on-one, get in towards goal, and, maintain control of the ball in her body and drill it right into the back of the net. A beautiful individual effort by Sanchez to give the Dolphins a 1-0 lead.
That goal number 2 on the season for Victoria Sanchez to go along with a pair of assists as well. Sanchez making her 3rd start of the season in this game, has appeared in 12 games overall, including today's matchup with the Bulldogs. As she heads that throw-in towards Appel. Ball finds Lauren Smith, who was looking for Pelinkovic on that last through ball, but it's intercepted by the Bulldogs.
Yeah, that was a beautiful defensive play that time because Pelinkovic was one step away from going in one-on-one against Pena.
Pelinkovic fighting for it along the near sideline with Tahirova, and Dolphins awarded the throw-in as that one volleyed into a dangerous spot off of a Bulldog, but Dolphins unable to capitalize. They do maintain possession now, moving back towards midfield. They work it to the far sideline, and it's off the foot of Aparicio and over the far sideline for a Bulldogs throw-in.
Yeah, so the Bulldogs will attempt to throw the ball in, and Dolphins have been doing a good job all afternoon long, Joe, pressuring the Bulldogs on those throw-ins and free kicks deep inside their territory and really turning it into offense pretty quickly.
Dolphins have possessed the ball for the majority of this first half, as they do right here. It's Aparicio crossing it in towards Appel, and her shot is just high over the crossbar. Great look for Alexa Appel in front, and a nice ball from Aparicio. That one wound up right on her foot, and a great spot to score from, nearly dead center in the box, but Appel's shot travels just high.
Yeah, another golden opportunity that time for Appel, and she had a nice goal in that game against CCNY that we brought to you here. A beautiful header as she came in as a substitute in that game, and one of the 5 players on it here at Senior Day this afternoon for the Dolphins.
Dolphins throw in once again as Mignon passes towards Perella, who has a lot of open space, and her shot off the hands of Pena. Unfortunately for the Bulldogs, that rolled wide.
Yeah, very fortunately that time for the Bulldogs, Joe, is Pena able to get a hand on it but not grab it, and that's going to result in a corner kick here for the Dolphins. It'll be their 3rd corner kick here of this first half. They already lead by a score of 1-0, and Perello will take the corner for the Dolphins.
Perello's corner once again toward the center of the box, off the hip of Appel, toward the touchline and over the touchline for a Bulldogs goal kick.
Yeah, so another good opportunity that time for the Dolphins. They're unable to convert, and the Bulldogs will put the ball in play.
Short goal kick finds Lauren Smith, and here comes Mirsada Pelinkovic working into the box, gets around the challenge, has plenty of open space, and she finds Victoria Sanchez for the 2nd Dolphins goal. What a pass by Mirsada Pelinkovic, finding Sanchez positioned along that far post.
Yeah, Joe, like you mentioned, a beautiful move by Pelinkovic. He was able to break in towards goal. Pena had no choice but to come at her. Once she did, she rolled it across the goal mouth to a wide-open Victoria Sanchez, who nets her 2nd goal of the afternoon, her 3rd of the year, to give the Dolphins a 2-0 lead. A big goal here for the Dolphins just as we approach the midway point of the first half.
Dolphins now with a multi-goal lead and in a very comfortable spot against a team averaging fewer than 2 goals per game this season. A team that they handled easily last year.
Scored by number 7, Victoria Sanchez, her 3rd of the season, assisted by number 24, Mirsada Pelinkovic, in the 22nd minute.
And Pelinkovic, Joe, since checking in, has really had a couple of big opportunities to score herself, and that time she picks up a big assist to help give the Dolphins a 2-0 lead.
It's Appel working against Gomez, and Gomez clears that ball over the near sideline for another Dolphins throw-in. Much like the men's match earlier this week, a lot of action to our left in the first half.
Yeah, you mentioned that men's conference, Joe, and Dolphins really going in, playing well. You know, they'll have one final game this Monday afternoon against New Jersey City University, a non-conference game, but for the first time since John Toddy's been the head coach, the Dolphins going into tournament play undefeated with a record of 8-0, and, you know, really some of the stats for this men's team this year have really been phenomenal.
The men have been excellent, as have the women in 2018. Mentioned during the men's broadcast, 3 double-digit goal scorers for that team in 2018. Bryant Navarro, Joe Balella, and Philip Lefkowitz, all with spectacular seasons this year. That men's team averaging 4 goals per game in 2018 as well, as that shot by Appel, I think, was partially blocked and travels wide.
And they went into that last game of the year, Joe, second in Division III in goals scored and had 4 goals in that game. So they continue to play well and play well offensively. And, you know, we know this CUNYAC tournament, Joe, and we've been watching it for a long time. And anything could happen when you get into these tournaments, you get into these games and get a quick early goal, and anything could absolutely happen. So Dolphins played well in the regular season, but it's a whole new season when you get into the playoffs.
It absolutely is, and the men and women both could enter the tournament as well as you can in the CUNYAC Conference. Unbeaten, you mentioned the men 8-0. If the women can close this one out, possessing a 2-goal lead here about midway through the first half, they would improve to 6-0 and make it a perfect 2018 in the conference as well. Sanchez looking for Appel once again. Brooklyn clears it for a moment, but it's right to Rebecca DeLoya. Now Nicole Mignon moving out of the midfield circle. Ball towards Pelinkovic, gets by over her shoulder, but she will take it away from Tyrova, and the shot by Pelinkovic is knocked up into the air by Pena.
Yeah, so Pelinkovic making a presence felt once again, Joe, for the Dolphins, putting that one on goal. Pena had to go up high to get it, but she was able to make the play.
Dolphins come away with it beyond the midfield. Ball along the far sideline, rolling toward the corner as Sanchez gives chase, and she was knocked off the ball for a moment. And it will be, it looks like a throw-in for Brooklyn deep into the corner once again. Looks like a foul was called, Mike. This is a free kick from down in the corner for the Bulldogs. So a foul was called against Sanchez on that last exchange. Dolphins took it away from Lynch in the midfield, but Brooklyn had it once again, as that one is off the face of Nicole Mignon, and she goes down, and the clock is immediately stopped, and you never want to see that.
No, that's, you know, the last thing the Dolphins want to see in a game like this. So Nicole took that one flush on, and she goes down. So Dolphins training staff and, of course, head coach Brittany Caceres going out immediately to check on her condition, and hopefully she'll be okay.
Well, of course, we hope everything is all right. Not the first time we've seen a player take a ball in the face this year, or at least above the neck, and Mignon went down immediately, but hopefully everything will be all right. Brooklyn already heading toward their bench, of course, remaining on the field along the near sideline in front of us. The Dolphins have convened just outside the midfield circle as Mignon is attended to. Fortunately, the last time we saw a play like this, it was taken care of quickly, and Lauren Smith was okay, and we hope that will be the case with Mignon as well, as thankfully she is able to roll over and communicate with the trainer, Allison Ocasio. So that's a good sign already.
Yeah, you know, Joe, she took that ball flush on, and of course it's a chilly day, and that one was a blow right into the face. But like you mentioned, she was able to roll over, and hopefully she'll be okay.
Yeah. At the very least, hope not to take that one in the nose if you do get hit in the face, because that can do a lot more damage. Certainly head injuries never to be taken lightly, but we hope it's just a temporary injury for Mignon that wouldn't force her to miss any extended time, because of course that could include the CUNYAC tournament as well, and Mignon a big part of what the Dolphins do out on the pitch, as Mignon now sitting up. So
yeah, you know, Nicole actually started in her freshman year and ended up playing goal, Joe, for the CSI Dolphins, and did a fabulous job for the Dolphins in that. And for the last couple of years has been out on the pitch. Last year leading the team in goals with 8 and having another really good year for the Dolphins this year. Unfortunately, she's up on her feet and, you know, appears to be pretty steady and appears to be okay. So good news there for the Dolphins with 18 minutes, 52 seconds remaining here in the first half. The Dolphins, behind 2 Victoria Sanchez goals, lead this one by a score of 2-0.
And it looks like the injury substitute will be Nermina Bracic. So Bracic will indeed get into this game. We weren't sure if Bracic would see any action in this one, but she does check in here, as Mignon is all smiles after walking off the pitch. So hopefully she'll be able to look back on that replay with a smile later instead of a headache. Though she did take that one square on from very close. So.
Yeah, and you know, Joe, it's dark and it's damp and it's cold out here. So if you're a player out on the pitch, you really want to make sure that you keep loose. You don't want to pull a hamstring or get, you know, a leg injury here, because it's pretty easy to tighten up when it's so chilly in the afternoon.
And you certainly never want to take any game lightly, especially a CUNYAC game. But the Dolphins have secured the top spot in the conference already. And you don't want to see any of your key players getting hurt in a game like this. This weather really is typical of this time of year here at the CSI Soccer Complex. It certainly gets chilly once we enter October, and at times it can get very cold. And you mentioned the effect that can have on the players out there on the pitch, and I'm sure they don't appreciate the sudden shift in weather, as we had some great weather for the early part of this season. And action will resume with about 18 and a half minutes to go in the first half.
And, you know, Joe, you mentioned the Dolphins will finish their regular season on Monday afternoon here against Rosemont College. 8 days then till the CUNYAC semifinals, which will take place on Halloween at Brooklyn College. And then the finals will take place on November 3rd. So if you're a CSI Dolphin fan, you're hoping for 3 games left here in the season. And then, of course, the Dolphins going for their 4th straight appearance in the NCAA tournament.
Always found it very interesting since covering CSI athletics how these tournaments most of the time are scheduled far after the conclusion of the regular season, where teams have a long layoff of a week plus, and how that affects them. The women will only have 2 rounds in their tournament as Deloya moves in looking for Bracic, and it's cleared away by the Bulldogs.
Yeah, you know, Joe, and then on the men's side, 6 teams make the tournament. The Dolphins and Baruch College will both have byes through the initial round, and then the Dolphins and Baruch will begin play in the semifinals after the quarterfinals take place between the 3 through 6 teams, as 3 will play 6, 4 will play 5, as Appel comes in and comes up just short of grabbing that rebound there.
Well, Pena's had trouble grabbing the ball out of the air. That one was square into her chest and just couldn't grab it out of the air cleanly and make the catch, nearly opening up the door for Appel to add a 3rd Dolphins goal up on the scoreboard. And Nermina Bracic has some space here. She gets to that ball before Pena, who's forced to retreat toward goal. Bracic turned her back to the net and didn't look to shoot it, as the ball winds up on the foot of Perello, who crosses toward the far post. Sanchez looking to head it on goal, missed it, as Lauren Smith chips it toward the top of the box, and it is once again cleared away by Brooklyn.
Yeah, Sanchez all over the field here in this first half. 2 goals already, got her head on it, and the Dolphins will throw the ball in once again.
Throw in toward Bracic, able to turn and play the ball toward the middle of the field. Sanchez had it for a moment, gives it up to Pelinkovic, who fires, and that's high and wide. And we've seen that is definitely not out of the range of Mirsada Pelinkovic, who can put quality shots on goal from far.
Yeah, Dolphins continuing to press the Bulldogs here, Joe. And, you know, if you're a Dolphins fan or head coach Brittany Caceres, you have to feel pretty good. You have a 2-0 lead here. And, you know, Brooklyn really not able to put any pressure on the Dolphin defense at all, as the Dolphins have been attacking the Bulldog goal really since the opening touch here this afternoon.
Dolphins once again possess the ball in the attacking third. Cross inside by Sanchez. Bracic towards goal, and save an easy one for Pena.
Yeah, that time Smith was lurking around for the Dolphins, but Pena came out and made the play on the ball.
Teams trading possession back and forth right there, and that one through the hands of Pena as well, and she's had some issues handling the ball.
Yeah, and Appel was close once again. Joe, she's had a couple of opportunities here in the first half for the Dolphins as well.
She might need a better fitting pair of gloves in goal, the way the ball is rolled off her fingertips, seemingly every opportunity. And Samantha Laval will get into the game as well. So Laval and Bracic both getting into this game as substitutes.
Yeah, you know, Samantha Laval has really been the player that really helped transition things for the Dolphins here, Joe, in 2018. You know, when you have the kind of goal-scoring force that Samantha is, it really allows the team to do so many things. And Dolphins able to pick up 2 goals here in the first half without her, but for what the Dolphins are looking to do, they need big performances out of Samantha Laval, and she's really given it to them all year long.
She leads the team in scoring with 14 goals, despite missing some games earlier in the year. And Brooklyn once again concedes the corner by clearing that ball quite a ways away. I don't envy the ball chaser on that one, as Perello takes the corner. Once again, a good corner toward the middle of the box. It winds up on the foot of Lauren Smith, who sees her shot travel high.
Yeah, and, you know, Lauren close once again. A beautiful play to get a good solid shot at the goal, but she put it just over the crossbar. So another opportunity going by the boards here for the Dolphins in the first half as they continue to press forward and put a lot of pressure on that Bulldog defense.
More pressure may be upcoming as the Dolphins have it once again. It's Sanchez down in the corner trying to work her way into the box. She's dispossessed. And a foul was called, and we'll head back in the other direction. Free kick for Brooklyn.
And, you know, I believe that Kayla DiBenedetto has only touched the ball once here, Joe, in this first half for the CSI Dolphins, as they've been able to press forward, and really Brooklyn struggling to get the ball out of their defensive zone. The Dolphins have had a lot of opportunities here this afternoon. They've been able to cash through on 2 of them, and they lead 2-0.
That's a handball against Lawrence Smith, so Brooklyn once again awarded a free kick. And Mike, we've seen many games that looked a lot like this, where the Dolphins pick up an early goal and maybe more than that in the first half, but the opposition simply doesn't possess the ball enough to get even a shot opportunity or cross midfield at that, and that's been the case for Brooklyn in this one. They've only possessed the ball beyond midfield for a couple of seconds, as they nearly picked up at least a few more seconds right there, but it's knocked away by the Dolphins, who quickly regain possession. Moving towards midfield, it's Bracic. Bracic beats her marker and moves toward the inside. Ball winds up on the foot of Lawrence Smith. Smith gives it up to Pelinkovic. Pelinkovic looking for Laval at the top of the box, and that physical play certainly characteristic of Pelinkovic all season long, as she's called for the foul, trying to gain possession back, and another free kick upcoming for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Pelinkovic is another first-year player that's really been a huge difference maker for the Dolphins, Joe. She plays with a lot of energy all the time, and she also plays with that physicality that you just mentioned.
We've already mentioned a couple of first-year players in Laval and Pelinkovic, and those two players really leading the Dolphins statistically in 2018. Laval has 14 goals to go along with an assist, and Pelinkovic second on the team in goals with 6, and also second on the team in assists with 6 assists as well. Lawrence Smith leads the team in assists with 7, so a good blend of young first-year talent and veteran talent on this Dolphins team certainly puts them in a good position entering this CUNYAC tournament with some great young players to go along with their experience, and players that have experienced the CUNYAC championship prior to this season 3 times already.
Yeah, and, they haven't really been forced to demonstrate it here this afternoon, but, it's really that Dolphin back line that is so key, is, when you get into these tournament games, and very steady, very dependable here in 2018.
It's Pelinkovic working toward the attacking third, gives it up to Perello and receives it right back. And Pelinkovic is looking to shoot. She didn't get all of that one, and once again off the fingertips of Pena.
Yeah, we should mention, Joe, the official time kept on the field, 10 minutes, 15 seconds remaining here in this first half.
Teams fighting for it in front of us along the near sideline. Kenna working up the field along the near sideline, and Brooklyn will throw in just outside, or perhaps in the attacking third. We'll see if they can make anything of it, as that's knocked away by DeLoya. Brooklyn to throw in once again a bit deeper in the Dolphins' defensive territory. Throw in towards Kenna. She's met by a couple of Dolphins, and once again the Bulldogs will have to throw it in. Will it be the Dolphins to throw in? It will be. CSI gaining possession back quickly as Bracic turns and moves forward towards the middle of the field. Working against Vixama. Vixama took it away, but unable to find Kenna as that rolls into the outstretched arms of De Benedetto.
Joe, we mentioned during the pregame show, this is the first game for the Dolphins in 10 days, so they had a pretty long layoff, but they've come out here and they performed pretty well here in the first half, not showing too much rust as they've been able to put pressure on the Bulldogs, really, since the opening touch.
I'm not sure where De Benedetto is going with that ball. It traveled over towards us and no Dolphin in sight. Shanked it a bit, but Bulldogs throw in quickly, winds up back with the Dolphins as Laval redirects it to Bracic. Bracic looking for Sanchez, who heads it forward. Sanchez giving chase against a pair of Bulldogs, and Pena comes out, barely chips it up in the air. Space for Bracic to shoot it, but defended well by the Bulldogs, having the back of their goalkeeper there, and they needed to because Pena was way out trying to meet that ball outside the box, and Bracic unable to get a shot off.
Yeah, nice defensive play that time by Melanie Grenade to knock the ball away and prevent Bracic from getting a shot towards goal.
Bracic over to Lauren Smith. Now it's Pelinkovic looking for Aparicio along the far sideline down in the corner. She has to chase it. And that is not a corner you want to concede if you're the Bulldogs, as I'm not sure Aparicio was getting there. They could have easily sealed her away from that ball. Instead, it's over the touchline off of the Bulldogs, and once again, the Dolphins will have a corner.
Yeah, their fourth corner kick here of this first half, and another opportunity is Adriana Perello will take it for the Dolphins once again.
This is corner number 5 for CSI. This is a shorter corner toward the near post. Winds up on the foot of Pelinkovic. Her shot off the post, and it did not cross the goal line as Mersada Pelinkovic nearly picked up the third Dolphins goal. Pena forced to dive on it before it crossed that goal line, and Dolphins nearly getting on the scoreboard once again.
Yeah, she's had several opportunities here in this first half. That one the closest as it rang off the post. So Dolphins inches away from picking up their third goal.
Brooklyn has it in the midfield circle right now. That's Kenna. Works her way by Perello, now working against Di Stefano, who knocks the ball away. Sanchez dispossessed from behind by Vasquez. As Brooklyn is looking to get possession back, they can't. Now Lauren Smith up towards Bracic. Bracic turns and passes to Perello. Perello moving along the near sideline into the attacking third, beats a pair of Bulldogs and fires toward goal, and it's knocked down by Pena. And you know Samantha Laval has seen that ball hit off the hands of Ketty Pena more than once. She did not slow down, charging in towards goal, hoping for a shot opportunity. She didn't get it, as Aparicio winds up with the ball along the far sideline. Brooklyn takes it away for a moment, but it winds up on the foot of Pelinkovic.
Joe, that's the 10th shot on goal for the Dolphins here this afternoon. They have 5 corners as well. Brooklyn still looking for their first shot and corner.
Judging by the way this game has gone, it may be a long time until we see that first shot as the wind picks up and blows some papers away. And I had to deal with that prior to the start of this one. Dolphins possess it once again as Pelinkovic may be looking to set up for another shot. Instead gives it up to Sanchez, who loses it. Bulldogs moving toward midfield, and this one is through to Kenna in some space. Deloya giving chase, and Deloya able to get there, makes a nice sliding tackle and knocks it away from Kenna, who had some space for a shot, but a great defensive play by Rebecca Deloya to recover and get there.
And she was knocked down on the play looking for a foul called. Referee signaled play on, so 5 minutes remaining here in the first half, but a golden opportunity that time as the ball glanced off Deloya and rolled back to Kenna, but Deloya stuck with it and made the nice defensive play.
Well, it's not easy to make a recovery like that from such a far distance between you and the attacking player. Deloya had a lot of ground to cover. When you're coming in with that much speed, attempting a sliding tackle, sometimes it's very difficult not to commit the foul, and in that case, the foul certainly would have resulted in a penalty kick, but a nice job by Deloya avoiding the foul call as Samantha Laval moves in. Working on the outside of the box, another Dolphin shot off the post. It rebounds toward Laval and is cleared away by the Bulldogs. That's back-to-back Dolphin shot attempts from inside off of the post.
I think Samantha thought she had that one, Joe, but as you mentioned, it clangs off the post. Another close opportunity for the Dolphins, who already have 11 shots on goal and 2 posts, so that's another 2 other opportunities. Brooklyn fortunate to find themselves down just 2-0.
Well, if Brooklyn had come away with a goal on that last possession by Kenna in the box, we would have had ourselves a game again. Only a 1-goal game, but as it stands right now, Brooklyn remains struggling for possession as now Kenna will have another opportunity. She moves toward the outside of the box. Mulligan knocks it away, will chase it down before it travels over the touchline. Mulligan gives it up to Deloya, but Brooklyn comes away with it. Stonewalled was Vixama as she looks to gain possession back. Battles with Mulligan for it, and it travels over the sideline.
Yeah, that time Vixama using her size and strength to try to push forward and forcing the Dolphins to throw the ball in deep inside their own territory. I think that might be the first time all afternoon, Joe.
Well, they had an extra ball on the field there for just a moment as they had to get that sorted out. Ball now in the midfield with the Bulldogs as we wind down towards 2:40 remaining in the first half.
Brooklyn's done a better job here in the last couple of minutes, Joe, at least getting themselves some opportunities, but Dolphins have knocked 2 off the post during that time as well.
Dolphins give it up there, but intercept the pass in the midfield as they're trying to stop a bus from entering the parking lot to our right. Some commotion over there for just a moment as my attention was turned in that direction. Here comes Victoria Sanchez. Has a lot of space to work with, but that shot is off the outside frame. As Sanchez looking for the hat trick with that last shot attempt.
Yeah, and she had a golden opportunity there, but shot the ball wide, so it'll be Brooklyn to take the free kick now with less than 2 minutes remaining here in this first half.
Goal kick for the Bulldogs, and Dolphin is down. I think that's Sanchez. Looked like the ball hit her in the ankle. Perhaps she turned it and stepped on the ball as clock is yet to be stopped, and it will be with under 1:30 to go.
Sorry, Joe, and again, you mentioned earlier that, the one thing you want to try to avoid in a game like this are those late injuries. And, Victoria, who's played so well this afternoon and, just missed a hat trick here early and now down on the pitch. And, that's how quickly things can turn around here in these matches. So, first Nicole went down earlier. She took a ball in the face, and she appeared to be okay. And now it's Victoria Sanchez down on the field. And, even with the 11-day gap between now and the start of the CUNYAC tournament for the ladies, it's certainly not something that you want to see.
You never want to see an injury in any game, but as you said, Mike, you especially don't want to see it with the CUNYAC tournament right around the corner, though. We did mention before there is that long layoff between the end of the regular season and tournament time, and that should benefit the Dolphins should they exit this game with Mignon and Sanchez reeling from injuries, as Mignon did walk off on her own power after a ball hit her in the head. As a lot of commotion behind us now being caused by this bus, and that's a wasp on your forehead, Mike, as he's circling you. But Sanchez remains down. And what it looked like to me on that play is that the ball was cleared out, or I should say the goal kick was taken out towards Sanchez, and she was ready to receive it, though it was a goal kick taken by the Bulldogs. And either she stepped on the ball or rolled her ankle following her getting a foot on it.
Yeah, so we'll see how she gets up on the play, but she does appear to be in a little bit of distress here with 1:29 remaining in the first half, as Victoria's still down on the pitch. And let's see how she gets up. And she's not going to put any it doesn't look like she's going to put any pressure on that ankle at all, Joe. So, of course, we don't want to speculate, but it doesn't look good as she walks off the field here this afternoon.
Well, you never want to see a player, especially a soccer player, unable to walk off on their own power with any sort of injury to their leg or ankle, and it looks like ankle is the injury for Sanchez here. And I have to believe she stepped on the ball awkwardly when that goal kick came down underneath her foot. That's really all I can imagine. Is it looked like she knocked it away cleanly, but certainly not a clean landing after she went down, and it indeed appears to be an ankle injury. We'll have any additional information that we receive shared with you on that, should we hear anything prior to the end of this game. But it will be Dimitri Tuntas entering for Sanchez, and we did receive word moments ago it will be a 10-minute break at halftime. So Mike and I will sign off immediately following the conclusion of this first half and come back with about a minute or so to go on the clock before the start of half number 2.
Yeah, as we're about to get underway, and of course our attention still focused on Victoria, who's coming off the field in a little bit of distress. So again, hopefully it's that kind of thing that you get a little ice on it and it calms itself down and things turn out to be okay. But, she does appear to have an ankle injury as she leaves the field.
Well, I've been fortunate enough in my lifetime, no broken bones, no ligament tears or anything like that, but I've often said my right ankle is made of glass, and ankle sprains can certainly be lingering injuries as the Dolphins look for another opportunity late in the half. Laval got that shot off. It's saved by Pena, and a good pass. I believe it was from Tuntas along the far sideline, setting up Samantha Laval for the shot.
Yeah, so Tuntas comes in and immediately makes a big play over to Laval. Laval stoned once again by Pena as we're in the final 40 seconds of the first half.
Brooklyn moving forward beyond midfield with 35 to go in this first half. But the Dolphins take it away, and this one will roll toward the far sideline and over the boundary as the sun peeks through the clouds, and it seems as if the temperature just rose 10 or 15 degrees. Much nicer out now. And with that ball once again rolling over the far sideline, Dolphins to throw in. That should bring the first half to a close. Dolphins will take a 2-0 lead into halftime in this our CUNYAC game of the week, as Samantha Laval had 3 seconds to fire one toward goal. It does not reach the net, and that is the end of the first half. College of Staten Island leading Brooklyn College 2-0 at halftime. Mike and I will come back and rejoin you with about 1 minute to go before the start of the second half. This is exclusive NCAA Division III women's soccer coverage. CUNYAC game of the week. Dolphins lead the Bulldogs 2-0 at the half.
I got a crick in my neck, limp in my step, cramping in my muscles every time I try to flex. Better than one scared of. But if you throw me love off the wood some more.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in!
Help yourself to anything. That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit savethefood.com.
I remember, Dad, you and Mom got this car with a hatchback. I said, I'd be happy to give you the money to get a really great car. And he said, well, no, this works for me. I says, why? Because it's the right height to put the meals in. Dad, tell me when you first got an inkling about Meals on Wheels.
There was kind of an abandoned house. That's where we got started with Meals on Wheels. We kind of filled a need for people as they got older.
It's the human interaction that probably fed them much more than the food.
Oh, yeah. When you can see somebody else benefiting by your life in some way, you can't help but feel good about it, I think.
Well, the reason I'm involved, Dad, is because you are, and you're so inspiring. How you've impacted people is enormous.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org.
America, let's do lunch.
Dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise?
Surprise!
Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
I got a crick in my neck, limp in my step, cramping in my muscles every time I try to flex. Better than one scared of. But if you throw me love off the wood some more.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in!
Help yourself to anything. That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit savethefood.com.
I remember, Dad, you and Mom got this car with a hatchback. I said, I'd be happy to give you the money to get a really great car. And he said, well, no, this works for me. I says, why? Because it's the right height to put the meals in. Dad, tell me when you first got an inkling about Meals on Wheels.
There was kind of an abandoned house. That's where we got started with Meals on Wheels. We kind of filled a need for people as they got older.
It's the human interaction that probably fed them much more than the food.
Oh, yeah. When you can see somebody else benefiting by your life in some way, you can't help but feel good about it, I think.
Well, the reason I'm involved, Dad, is because you are, and you're so inspiring. How you've impacted people is enormous.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org.
America, let's do lunch.
Dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise?
Right.
Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
I got a crick in my neck, limp in my step, cramping in my muscles every time I try to flex. I don't know what else to get but if you throw me love, I'll feel like some more.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in!
Help yourself to anything. That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit savethefood.com.
I remember, Dad, you and Mom got this car with a hatchback. I said, you know, I'd be happy to give you the money to get a really great car. And he said, well, no, this works for me. I says, why? Because it's the right height to put the meals in. Dad, tell me when you first got an inkling about Meals on Wheels.
There was kind of an abandoned house. That's where we got started with Meals on Wheels. We kind of filled a need for people as they got older.
It's the human interaction that probably fed them much more than the food.
Oh, yeah. When you can see somebody else benefiting by your life in some way, you can't help but feel good about it, I think.
Well, the reason I'm involved, Dad, is because you are, and you're so inspiring. How you've impacted people is enormous.
Drop off a warm meal and get more than you expect. Volunteer at americaletsdolunch.org.
America, let's do lunch.
Dad is an adventure full of special moments.
A cruise?
Right.
Unexpected moments.
I got this.
And even awkward moments.
Okay, Dad, thank you.
But every moment you spend with your kids, even the smallest moments, can make the biggest impact on your child's life. So take a moment to be a dad today.
I got a crick in my neck, limp in my step, cramping in my muscles every time I try to flex. I don't know what else to get but if you throw me love, I'll feel like some more.
Hi, I'm Peter. And there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in. Help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit savethefood.com.
And we're back from the CSI Soccer Complex. Second half about to get underway. Dolphins lead the Bulldogs by a score of 2-0. And Mike, what we saw out on the pitch is reflected in the stats. Dolphins dominated the first half, and every statistic indicates that.
Yeah, you know, they've outshot Brooklyn College 22-0, including 12-0 with shots on goal. They've had 5 corner kicks, none for Brooklyn, and Brooklyn forced to make 10 saves in goal, Joe. And, you know, Dolphins have hit the post a couple of times and, you know, played very well. Everything positive other than the injury to Victoria Sanchez with just 90 seconds remaining here in that first half. So the Dolphins will come out on the pitch now for the second half, 45 minutes away from completing an undefeated season in the CUNYAC Conference and getting ready for their semifinal match, which will take place on October 31st for Brooklyn College, their final 45 minutes of the CUNYAC season. I believe they have one game remaining against Sarah Lawrence coming up later in the week to finish the regular season.
We'll be back on the air here on Monday as the Dolphins take on Rosemont. Start of that game scheduled for 3 p.m., our final regular season broadcast of the year from the CSI Soccer Complex, as the Dolphins will move left to right in the second half. Of course, Bulldogs in the other direction in the first half. Most of the action was to our left. Dolphins dominating possession. You mentioned the shot count, shots on goal, and of course our score 2-0 in favor of the Dolphins entering the second half.
You mentioned, Joe, Dolphins up 2-0, and it could have easily been 3, 4, or 5. So Brooklyn College doing well, packing themselves in, not giving themselves many opportunities to score, but did succeed in holding the Dolphins to just 2 goals in that first half.
You mentioned just there, it could easily be as many as 5 goals. Of course, Victoria Sanchez scoring a pair for the Dolphins before going down with an ankle injury, as CSI does possess the ball just outside the box. See what they can do here. And once again, that one rolls off the hands of Pena, but she's able to corral it before Laval gets there. Anyway, back in that first half, 2 goals scored by Sanchez, her second and third of the season, and then 3 near opportunities for the Dolphins in that first half as Paulina Ambrose had an open net with the goalkeeper, Ketty Pena, bearing down on her. Ambrose saw her shot go wide. Mersada Palinkovic fired a shot off the post, and Samantha Laval also hitting the post with one of her shot attempts. So 3 shots the Dolphins took in that first half, none of which were on goal. That very easily could have gone for goals, as that's over the near sideline. But you said it, opportunity certainly there for the Dolphins to be up by far more than just 2. As the throw-in is off the head of Samantha Laval. Finds its way to Adriana Perello, who chips it up in the air. Bulldogs able to get there before Nermina Bracic, but Mersada Palinkovic got a foot on it and knocks it over the far sideline. Bulldogs throw in, volleyed up in the air, and it winds up with Nermina Bracic, who's moving in with some speed. Was grabbed from behind and lost possession of it in front.
You know, we mentioned earlier, Joe, the Dolphins wrapped up their regular season championship by defeating Lehman College by a score of 2-1 in their last game, and that was a game that Bracic had a goal and an assist in, and got an award as the CUNYAC Player of the Week for that performance.
It's been a strong season for Bracic. We mentioned her improvement from last year to this year. She's put 4 goals up for the Dolphins on the scoreboard in 2018 to go along with 3 assists, and given them many quality minutes so far this year. We've seen far more of her this year than we did last year.
Yeah, and her play really dramatically improved this year.
A terrible goal kick there by the Bulldogs, and Laval's shot partially blocked in front and going down after that block attempt was Rachel Gomez. I think the wind may have been in large part responsible for that goal kick just getting completely knocked down before it even crossed out of that final third of the field. It wound up right in front of Laval.
Yeah, and then Gomez ended up taking the brunt of that Laval shot, but she is okay.
Well, fortunate for her goalkeeper, she was there, because Samantha Laval doesn't often make any mistakes with shots from that position, and thankfully for Pena in goal, it was blocked, and the Bulldogs for now able to keep this at a 2-goal deficit, but they need to get up on the scoreboard to get back in this one, nearly able to do so late in that first half. As Lauren Smith fires from a long ways out, high and wide.
Yeah, Lauren, another shot towards goal, missing in the top. She had a big opportunity in the first half and drilled one just over the top. So the Dolphins continue to press forward here as we head into the 50th minute, and really coming out here, Joe, in the second half the way they did in the first, putting a lot of pressure on this Bulldog defense.
And it looks like that may continue here as Laval turns quickly off of the headed pass from Appel. And we'll wait for a ball.
One thrown into play.
Well, I think what happened is the ball chaser on this side threw the ball in after that last one traveled back behind the goal and then didn't have a ball when this one came back over the fence. So they're able to retrieve the ball from behind the goal, and the ball chaser will retake his position behind us in just a few moments as the Dolphins possess the ball just beyond midfield. They lost it for a moment to Kenna, but she was immediately surrounded by 3 Dolphins, and she's really been the focal point of the Bulldogs' attack, really the only player to possess the ball beyond midfield for Brooklyn, and nearly scored the goal before a great play by Rebecca DeLoya, making the sliding tackle and knocking it away at the last second. As ball on the foot of Adriana Perello in space, and that's once again knocked down by Pena, but her rebound, or I should say, her control of saves has been poor in this game, as she's very rarely handled a shot cleanly. Has made some nice saves, or at least a nice save earlier in the game when she had the chance, but it's certainly been an issue for her controlling that ball in the air.
Yeah, and you know, now once again that's going to create another corner kick opportunity here, Joe, for the Dolphins, as they'll take their 6th corner kick, the first here of the second half.
Perello takes the corner toward the top of the box off the head of, I believe, DiStefano, as that's rolling toward the touchline, and they're able to keep Appel off of that ball.
Yeah, but it's going to end up with another corner kick, this one from the near side of the field, as the Dolphins continue to put pressure on here in this second half.
Perello to take the corner once again. Corner into the center of the box, right in front of goal. Aparicio heads it, and shooting it in was DiStefano. So initially, it's off the head of Aparicio. It trickled in front, found the foot of Brianna DiStefano, who scores the 3rd Dolphins goal of this game.
Yeah, and you know, Elizabeth Aparicio, of course, has headed several balls into the goal across over her career. That time the ball comes across to DiStefano. No chance at all as the Dolphins able to operate deep inside the penalty area, as DiStefano able to put the ball into the net. And the 3rd Dolphin goal of the afternoon, Aparicio will get the assist. Not sure if Perello will or not, but she might. And then the Dolphins lead by a score 3-0. And, you know, Joe, that's the 7th corner kick opportunity for the Dolphins here this afternoon. They're second in the second half. You can't give the Dolphins that many opportunities. They're very dangerous. Adriana Perello has taken all 7 of the corners. She's created several opportunities, and this time the Dolphins cash in.
That shot on goal, number 15 for the College of Staten Island, and on corner kick number 7, Adriana Perello finds the head of Elizabeth Aparicio, who heads it onto the foot of Brianna DiStefano for her 1st of the game and her 3rd of the 2018 season.
Number 22, Brianna
Yeah, and that goal really is a backbreaker for Brooklyn College, Joe. You know, you've seen that they've struggled even to get a shot toward the Dolphin goal, but they were always one play away from being one goal away. With that third goal falling on the side of the Dolphins, that really breaks this game open here early in the second half.
And I'm not sure CSI will look back from a 3-goal lead, and they appear well on their way to achieving a perfect season in the CUNYAC Conference, joining the men in accomplishing that.
It's been a great year both on the men's and women's side in the regular season, but, you know, Joe, we've mentioned it a couple of times. The regular season is one thing, the CUNYAC tournament is another, and a lot of pressure going to be on both of these Dolphin teams to duplicate their success of the regular season in the CUNYAC tournament.
Dolphins have it in the midfield circle, and as we draw closer to the conclusion of this one, we'll talk a bit about the men as well. But for now, it's the women leading by 3 goals over Brooklyn. About 36.5 minutes to go in the second half as Kayla DiBenedetto gets her first touch of the second half. Ball out over the far sideline. It will be a throw-in for the Dolphins. Winds up with Lauren Smith. Smith out to Palinkovic. Ball towards Appel, knocked away by the Bulldogs, but Appel able to gain possession for a moment. Lynch now dribbling toward midfield. Perello and Aparicio meet her there and take it away. Here comes Perello toward the middle of the field. Slows it down and gives it up to Aparicio. It's right back to Perello and taken away by Vixama. Pass intercepted by Mulligan. Dolphins once again moving forward on the attack along the near sideline as that's off the foot of a Bulldog. That's Dalia Hernandez who knocked it over the near sideline, and that's Samantha Laval who heads it over the near sideline. So now a Bulldogs throw-in is upcoming.
You know, Joe, Aparicio was the one who threw that ball in, and she picked up an assist on that last Dolphin goal. And, you know, this is already her 3rd year on the team, and, you know, she's one of those players that joined the Dolphins 3 years ago and really has been such an asset for the Dolphins. And you don't always mention her name a lot because she doesn't score that many goals, but she and Rebecca DeLoyer are 2 of the key players for the Dolphins, whether they're back in the midfield or overlapping from defensive positions, that really add so much to the Dolphins. Rebecca struggling with a little bit with leg injuries, but, you know, appears to be all the way back. And Aparicio, you know, 2 players that give the Dolphins so much coming from the midfield and turning defense to offense. And Aparicio with a big assist on the Dolphins' 3rd goal as the Dolphins continuing to play well here in 2018.
I think it's fair to say that Aparicio's defining moment, at least in my time covering Dolphin soccer, was last year in that CUNYAC championship against Lehman. A pair of goals in that game, and CSI winning the CUNYAC championship here at the CSI Soccer Complex last year by a score of 2-0. As that ball rolls toward the corner, and it's over the near sideline. Perello lofts one into the box, headed up in the air by the Bulldogs, but it comes right down on the foot of Palinkovic. Palinkovic, and her shot rolled off of Pena. Pena diving in front, and it looked like the ball rolled up her torso and over. Fortunately, it rolled up and over wide.
Yeah, you know, Joe, I'm not sure how that one stayed out of the net, but Pena able to get enough of it to knock it out of bounds. But that will give the Dolphins their 3rd corner kick here through the first 12 minutes of this second half. Dolphins scored on their last corner kick opportunity.
This is number 8. As usual, Adriana Perello to take it. Long corner toward the far post, headed just wide by Samantha Laval.
Yeah, Laval's had several opportunities, including a post here this afternoon. That one knocked just wide, but it will just result in another corner kick opportunity here for the Dolphins.
Aside from controlling the ball, Ketty Pena's had a fine game. Has faced 29 shots now, made 13 saves, and allowed 3 goals. And given the amount of pressure, she's handled it pretty well, but has simply been unable to control the ball on shots taken towards her. As that one's crossed in, a good cross there by Perello towards Laval. Bulldogs just get a piece of it, and now it's Pelinkovic firing just wide, and the Dolphins now with an attacking onslaught, just shot after shot over the last few minutes.
Yeah, and Joe, Pelinkovic came in with 15 minutes gone by in the first half, had 5 shots in that first half, adds another one there, but it will result in a free kick for the Bulldogs.
Dolphins working along the far sideline. It's Bracic moving down toward the corner. Has it knocked away. Bulldogs can't keep it in, so it's a Dolphins throw-in. Pelinkovic to throw, looking for somewhere to go with it. Throws it in towards Laval. And it's knocked away once again by the Bulldogs. Pelinkovic will try a second time. And Laval just got pushed down from behind and then responded with some physicality of her own. That shot not on target, but Laval away from the ball just got pushed down from behind and then immediately came in hard on the ball, trying to make up for that with a goal, but could not.
Yeah, she certainly did, Joe. She bounced right back and stuck with the play and volleyed one just wide of the net, so it'll be a free kick here for the Bulldogs as both teams wind down the final 31 minutes of their CUNYAC regular season.
DiStefano takes it away from Brooklyn in the midfield, moving forward with some speed. Gives it up to Bracic. Bracic finds Smith. Smith to Perello. Smith right back to Perello. Good ball movement there by the Dolphins. One-touch passing into the final third as Aparicio has it. Fires it in toward goal off the chest of Laval, but she was offsides.
Yeah, so it'll be a free kick coming up here for Brooklyn College. But now, Joe, the Dolphins just able to dominate. And bit of good news as we see Nicole Mignon wander over toward the trainer's table and might see her come back in action. Might not, but she does appear to be fine.
From what I heard during halftime, the ball did hit her in the nose, so fortunate the injury wasn't worse. And
well, it
came off smiling.
It hurts a lot, but fortunately it's something that won't sideline you.
Well, as we said during the first half when we mentioned it, there'll be plenty of time for recovery following the end of the regular season. 9-day layoff.
Yeah, and Joe, even after today's game, the Dolphins will have that one final game, as you mentioned, but not a conference game, so certainly not a game that you're going to take, have any player play. That just needs a little bit extra time, so any player would have 11 days between now and the start of the CUNYAC tournament. For the women's side, that will begin on October 31st. The men's quarterfinal action will take place earlier. The Dolphins will not participate in the quarterfinals as they earn a bye.
Laval giving chase and did not slow down despite being body checked there as both players giving chase to that ball. Didn't get a number on the player marking Laval. Looks like number 2, Melanie Garade.
Yeah, Garade's made a couple of good defensive plays for the Bulldogs here this afternoon.
Pelinkovic has it. A little bit of space. Looked like she thought about shooting for a moment and then thought better of it. Lauren Smith won't think about it for very long as she fires high. And we've seen a few Dolphin shots from that distance travel a bit high and a bit wide, but they certainly haven't been shy about taking those.
Yeah, and Lauren's had a couple of big opportunities and another one there, and that one she fires just over the crossbar. So a good opportunity for Lauren. Just fired high.
Goal kick taken over the far sideline. We'll head right back in the other direction. In the first half, most of the play to our left, and as the stats indicated at halftime, wouldn't be surprised if the play in the second half was to our right, and that has indeed been the case, as it's been all Dolphins, maybe even more so in the second half than in the first half.
Yeah, the Dolphins have really come out and dominated, and Brooklyn really, I don't think it's touched the ball beyond midfield here, Joe, in the second half.
I think you're right, Mike, as the Dolphins seem to come away with possession off of just about every throw-in, regardless of which team it is, throwing the ball in, every goal kick, and the ball just seems to wind up on the foot of a Dolphin regardless of the situation. That's been the case throughout the entirety of this game as Smith fires toward goal and Pena able to handle that one.
Yeah, that one on goal for Lauren, the 17th shot on goal for the Dolphins, knocked away once again. Dolphins have dominated offensively all afternoon long and have really tied Brooklyn up here in the second half.
Here comes Aparicio moving in toward the box, and that's off the back of Garade. And that's well high.
Yeah, that one will be knocked away and will result in a free kick here for the Bulldogs as the clock continues to wind down here in the second half.
Well, the wind shouldn't play a role in this goal kick. We saw the last one get knocked down, and this one barely remains in play. As that hook toward the near sideline, Bulldogs now forced to retreat back toward the box, and that clearance off the foot of Laval, nearly a very dangerous situation there for the Bulldogs as Laval able to cut that clearance off, but there was enough on it that it traveled past her, and Bulldogs able to get it out of that dangerous area of the field, and it's now Aparicio with it along the near sideline. She moves in toward the touch line, looking to play it in front, and I'm not sure if that traveled over the touch line before the Bulldogs got a foot on it. It did not.
It did not. It was cleared out by Brooklyn as they give away a corner kick there. So the Dolphins will have their 9th corner kick here of the afternoon, as once again it'll be Adriana Perillo to take the corner for the Dolphins.
That's a couple of corner kicks at the very least in this game. The Bulldogs simply didn't need to concede, and we've seen them pay once already off of a corner as that's off the head of Appel, nearly found its way in. I don't know who got a hand or a foot on that, if it was the goalkeeper or another Bulldog keeping that one out. Dolphins just coming up short of their 4th goal as that's crossed in once again off the head of Samantha Laval and wide.
Yeah.
Make that saved, I think, Mike.
Yeah, you know, I don't think Laval could believe it. She's had a lot of opportunities, and now the Dolphins will take corner kick number 10 as they really been putting the pressure on Brooklyn College here in the second half, and Laval's had a couple of golden opportunities, has hit the post, has knocked a couple of shots at goal that have been saved, and Perillo will take another corner kick now for the Dolphins.
I'm not sure I've ever seen this kind of shot volume in such a short time in any men's or women's soccer game we've covered here at the CSI Soccer Complex. Dolphins with already 15 shots in this second half, 19 shots on goal overall for the game, 10 corner kicks. And it hasn't mattered where on the field the ball has been. It's the Dolphins able to gain possession and find their way into the attacking third very quickly, creating chances time and time again, especially now in the second half. But it was a strong first half as well. Here comes Mersada Palinkovic, and that's off the head of a Bulldog, and that's Tohirova who takes it off the dome.
Yeah, and you know, Joe, the Dolphins are about 24 minutes away from their 9th win of the season and going undefeated in the CUNYAC Conference. And, you know, it's a long way back to August 31st, but when the Dolphins were coming into this regular season, they were starting off with first-year head coach Brittany Caceres and a lot of new players coming into the team, and, you know, not as many new players as maybe they thought they were going to get, and a lot of returning players. And, you know, you weren't sure what kind of season what it was going to be, but, you know, really since that first game against Kane University, as we see the Dolphins take the short corner kick here and knock the ball wide, so it'll be a free kick for Brooklyn. But, you know, ever really since that first game against Kane University, you've seen a Dolphin team that has come out, has been extremely well coached, and has played very hard all year long, despite maybe not having as many players as you liked. And, you know, then the other question was, where were the goals going to come from? And They came from Wagner transfer Samantha Laval. So, the season has turned out to be great, and the Dolphins have defended their regular season championship and are looking to defend it. But what a job by first-year head coach Brittany Caceres to come in really out of nowhere, keep this program running as good or better than it's been over the last few years, and really put the Dolphins in a great position heading into the CUNYAC tournament.
And it's been an excellent year for CSI soccer overall, both the men and women, with tremendous success in the CUNYAC conference. Can't do any better than unbeaten. For the men, you almost couldn't do any better, period, as they allowed only 1 goal in the season against CUNYAC opponents. That came against York, as we've said many times, on a penalty kick late in that game. And with the ball finally to our left, we'll take a few minutes to look back at the men's season as well. And if you tuned in back on Wednesday, this may sound a bit repetitive, but I'll run through the schedule quickly once again as the Brooklyn opportunity to score comes to a quick close. And for the men, to begin the season, it was a 2-2 start, a pair of non-conference victories, a pair of non-conference defeats. The wins over St. Joe's Long Island and St. Joe's Brooklyn defeats the hands of Rutgers Camden and Rowan. The game against Rutgers Camden, a 3-1 defeat. The game against Rowan, also a 3-1 defeat, as that shot is saved. Not a lot behind that last attempt. Following that 2-2 start, the men rattled off 4 straight wins before seeing that win streak come to an end at Rutgers Newark, a game we've talked about a lot. Rutgers Newark, an opponent that came into the CSI Soccer Complex last year, picked up a big 5-0 victory. The Dolphins fall to them 2-1 in extra time, or I should say overtime, on a penalty kick following a red card issued to Christian Carucci in that game. But I said it back on Wednesday. That game told us a lot about this men's soccer team and how much they've improved from last year into this year, certainly improving upon the margin of defeat at the hands of the Scarlet Raiders, dropping this year's matchup by only 1 goal after falling by 5 goals last year. And another Dolphins corner upcoming, Mike, on a ball that looked like it was going to be scooped up by Pena. Instead, it rolls off her hands and over the touchline. So we'll have corner kick number 11 for the Dolphins upcoming, and we'll break from the men's schedule and streaks in just a moment. But following that loss to Rutgers Newark, the men once again rattled off another winning streak, this time of 6 straight wins over Medgar Evers, York, Brooklyn, Hunter, Rosemont, and Lehman. So 5 of those 6 wins against conference opponents. And that brings us to this week. On Sunday, the men fell 4-0 at Amherst, and then earlier this week, a 4-0 victory over Baruch. With that victory over the Bearcats, the men improved to 13-4 overall and a perfect 8-0 in the CUNYAC Conference.
Yeah, and it was a game that Phil Lefkowitz played a role in all 4 goals for the Dolphins. Lefkowitz just having a fabulous year, and you add Navarro and Barella to that offensive firepower. There are so many other players that add so much to this Dolphin team, this men's soccer team, and really looking forward to seeing the start of the CUNYAC tournament.
As Plinkovich fires wide.
Yeah, it should be an exciting tournament. The Dolphin offensive firepower is so strong, and the last couple of games we've seen them play, Joe, they've really forced teams to pack in on their defensive side of the field just to try to slow that Dolphin offensive juggernaut down. And, in the game against Baruch, all 4 Dolphin goals in that first half. So Dolphins with 1 game remaining against New Jersey City University this Monday at 4 o'clock. They're going to look to finish the regular season. They've already won, I believe it's 10 out of their last 12. They'll look to make it 11 out of 13 heading into the conference tournament and, look to get that elusive CUNYAC championship that has eluded this team for so long. And, one thing we know for sure, Joe, it's going to be a tough battle, and the Dolphins are going to be forced to play well. They're fortunate they'll get that first round bye, but it will take 2 wins against quality CUNYAC opponents for the Dolphins to make their goal here in 2018.
With the CUNYAC regular season winding down, we'll take a look at the 4 teams going into the women's CUNYAC soccer tournament. Of course, we've gotten a good look at the Dolphins all season long, and we'll start by taking a look at how they fared against some of the opponents they may see in the upcoming CUNYAC tournament. Brooklyn, not one of those opponents, as with defeats at the hands of CCNY and Lehman, they are now out of the running for a tournament spot. But taking a look at the top 4 teams, we mentioned it during the pregame, it is Staten Island, John Jay, CCNY, and Lehman that will enter the Women's CUNYAC tournament, not particularly in that order. I think there could be still some movement between CCNY, Lehman, and John Jay, actually, as all of those teams within one victory of one another. But the Dolphins have already played all three of those teams this season. Their first matchup against one of those teams was at John Jay, a game that they won 3-0 early in the season. I believe it was their first conference game of the year, as Samantha Laval, Masada Palinkovich, and Lauren Smith, the Dolphins' three leading goal scorers, all scoring in that game. Dolphins outshot the Bloodhounds 22-6, 15-3 in shots on goal. So a pretty convincing victory for the Dolphins, that 3-0 win, though it was one of the less convincing victories in the CUNYAC Conference this year. We saw a lot of big Dolphin wins along the way in the CUNYAC throughout 2018, and the next team that I just mentioned of that trio trailing the Dolphins in the standings is CCNY, and I'll get to that matchup after this Dolphins opportunity, as that's crossed in front and nearly finds the foot of Ambrose, but Pena able to get there first. Against the Beavers, the Dolphins winning 4-2. That was one of our CUNYAC games of the week earlier this year. Dolphins outshot CCNY in that game 34-2. The Beavers' two shots were both on goal and both found the back of the net. That was it for CCNY in that game. Of the Dolphins' 34 shots, 18 of them on goal. So really a dominant performance by the Dolphins that only resulted in a 2-goal victory. And that game was much closer than the final score would indicate. It was actually 3-2 in the 70th minute in favor of CSI, but Dolphins put that game away on an 83rd minute goal by Nicole Mignon, her second of the year. Masada Palinkovich also scoring a pair in that game, her fifth and sixth. Samantha Lapardo scoring in the 45th minute late in the first half as well for her second goal of the year, as CSI moves forward on the attack once again. Smith trying to play Ambrose through, and the Bulldogs forced to clear it away, conceding yet another corner. So CSI will attempt, I believe that's corner number 13, unless they got it on the scoreboard very quickly.
And, you know, Joe, that CCNY game was a perfect game to show you how fragile things could be in that CUNYAC conference, because, as you mentioned, it was a game the Dolphins dominated all game long. They took a 2-0 lead, but the Beavers were able to come back and make it a 2-1 game. The Dolphins added a third goal, and the Beavers still able to come back and make it a 1-goal game once again. And, you know, when you get into these tournament games and the pressure starts getting dialed up, if the opposing team is able to get that first goal, boy, does that change everything in a hurry.
It certainly does, and the Dolphins have been fortunate. They've played from ahead in most of their games this year, but that's due in large part to the number of shutouts that they've posted in 2018. As Perella moves into the box, crosses it in front, knocked up in the air by Pena, nearly came down for a Pell, but she's unable to corral it, and the Bulldogs once again forced to clear it away.
You know, Joe, but you mentioned first the game against John Jay and the game against CCNY, and the last opponent is Lehman College, of course, a game the Dolphins won by a final score of 2-1, a game that Nomina Bracic had a goal and assist for the Dolphins in. And, you know, once again, all three of those games with the right play here or there for the opposing team could make it a very different game. So regardless of who the Dolphins play in the tournament or whatever the seeding is, you know it's going to take two very tough, solid games by the Dolphins for them to reach their goal, which is to defend their three-time CUNYAC championship.
Well, if you look at the numbers, I think right now, if you're a Dolphins fan, you're looking at Lehman as your biggest threat, just based on the numbers and the matchups from earlier this year. I mentioned the 4-2 win over CCNY, but the Dolphins dominated that game statistically, especially in shots, as we mentioned just before. And John Jay really didn't muster much against the Dolphins as well. Dolphins won that game handily, 3-0. But in the game against Lehman, Dolphins were outshot 8-7. Shots on goal favored Lehman 6-5. And the Dolphins only won that game 2-1. They led it 2-0 until the 86th minute, where Lehman finally got on the scoreboard. That's shanked up in the air by Lauren Smith, and a foul is called, I believe, against Alexa Pell, knocking down the Bulldogs goalkeeper, and the official will have a word for her. But in that game against Lehman, the Lightning actually winning the statistical battle. I should say shots on goal 6-5 in favor of the Dolphins in that game. It was shots 8-7 in favor of Lehman, but Dolphins do win the game 2-1. They led that matchup in the one statistic that matters, and that's goals scored. So you look at the regular season matchups right now, and Lehman perhaps the biggest threat to the College of Staten Island, also the team that met them in the finals last year. So you have to like them to get back there once again, just based on past history. And we saw a very entertaining final played here last year. This year, the CUNYAC tournament returns to Brooklyn College, and I know we'll have some coverage of the finals at the very least, so it should be an entertaining CUNYAC soccer championship for CSI Dolphins fans, especially if both the men and women reach that championship.
Yeah, it looks like we'll have coverage of you for sure of the CUNYAC finals. It doesn't look right now that we'll be covering the semifinals for you, so hopefully both the men's and women's team will make it into the finals this year, as both teams looking for that automatic NCAA bid that comes at the end of the CUNYAC tournament.
Mentioned before, the 4 teams, Staten Island, John Jay, CCNY, and Lehman, playing in the women's CUNYAC tournament bracket. Right now, the Dolphins have secured the top spot. Those bottom 3 teams could move, so a bunch of different matchups that could come of that. Not going to go through them all, too many variables at this point, and I'll shift my attention to the men's CUNYAC tournament standings once I'm able to pull those up in front of me, so that will take a few moments, but here come the Dolphins once again on the attack. Ambrose moves in toward goal. I'm not sure if Pena got a hand on that one. We'll see. She did not, as the shot travels wide.
So the men's tournament a little bit different, Joe, than the women's tournament. 6 teams make the men's tournament. Staten Island will be the number 1 seed. Baruch is number 2. So both of those teams will have first-round byes. So in the quarterfinals, it's going to be Lehman against John Jay. That game will take place at Lehman College, and it will be Brooklyn College at home against Hunter College. The Dolphins will await the winner of that, of the I believe the Brooklyn Hunter game, but the Dolphins will go in with a bye, as will Baruch College. And, you know, you look at Brooklyn Hunter, Lehman, John Jay, 2 very exciting openers. Lehman, of course, coming in as the defending CUNYAC champions.
Well, I finally got those standings up on my screen, Mike, and like you said, it will be Lehman against John Jay. Should the standings hold, looks like John Jay should have 1 conference game left. They've only played 7, so another team with 7 right now would be CCNY. Looks like those 2 teams probably have 1 last game against one another. So John Jay could indeed move up with a win. They could move up and take Hunter's spot. If they do, that would set up a matchup between Lehman and Hunter, and then John Jay and Brooklyn. If John Jay loses that last game, it would be John Jay and Lehman, Hunter and Brooklyn.
Yeah, and you know, Joe, that the Dolphins have already had very tough games against Lehman and Brooklyn College. Brooklyn College did a great job frustrating the Dolphins, holding them to just a single goal. And, you know, we've seen enough soccer to know that if you're just allowing 0 or 1 goal, you're always in the game, and you're just 1 play away from that big play that could turn the tide in a one-and-out tournament game.
We'll take a look at some of those potential men's CUNYAC tournament matchups in just a moment as I pull up the men's soccer schedule from this year. We'll get some box scores for some of their CUNYAC games as that ball is chipped up in the air in the midfield. And should Brooklyn gain possession, I'll shift my attention back to the action and take a look at that. But Dolphins have spent almost the entire second half to our right, just firing shot after shot toward goal, on goal. It's been a busy second half in goal for the Bulldogs' Ketty Pena, though Brooklyn may have an opportunity here, as fighting for it just outside the box are the Bulldogs, and now in front fighting to keep the ball away from Brooklyn was Rebecca Deloya. Good job there, as Rachel Gomez initially, or I should say that was Narasha Lynch, who initially got the ball into the box and then played it in front for Kerry Kenna, though Deloya able to keep the ball away from her and prevent her from getting the first Bulldog shot attempt.
Yeah, Kenna very dangerous on that play, Joe. The Dolphins a little bit lax on the defensive end, looking to preserve their shutout here with just 8 minutes and 25 seconds remaining.
So on the men's side, the 2 teams that won't be involved in the CUNYAC tournament, or 3 teams I should say, Medgar Evers, York, and CCNY. Of course, the men have seen every team in the CUNYAC this year, and the first of those teams involved in the tournament that they played was John Jay. That was a 5-0 victory for the men in that game. Outshot the Bloodhounds 19-6, 13-3 in favor of the Dolphins in shots on goal. Goals in that game for Philip Lefkowitz, Joe Bilella. Each of them had 2. Bryant Navarro also scored a goal in that game as well. So the men's 3 leading goal scorers all getting on the scoreboard against the John Jay College Bloodhounds in that 5-0 victory. You mentioned a 1-0 victory against Brooklyn on the road. And if the Bulldogs keep the game close like that, maybe they are able to break through with a goal. But we did mention during one of our previous broadcasts that in that game, Brooklyn played with 6 defenders on their back line, a very unorthodox setup for the Bulldogs. So not a surprise they didn't score with a setup like that. And taking a look at the shot numbers for that game, it was 19-3 in favor of the Dolphins, 10 on goal for CSI, 1 on goal for Brooklyn. Moving down the schedule, the Dolphins' very next game was against Hunter, a 3-0 victory for CSI. That was part of our CUNY Game of the Week doubleheader back on October 6th. Goals in that game for Mike Arianis, Joe Bilella, and Bryant Navarro. Dolphins outshoot the Hawks 24-4, 7-1 CSI in shots on goal. They defeated Lehman 1-0 on the road, another very close 1-goal game. And you mentioned how in the CUNYAC tournament, keeping it within 1 goal could give any of these teams a chance against CSI, a very high-powered attack for the Dolphins this year. And once again, Lehman on the men's side gave the Dolphins their closest game statistically. 7 shots for CSI in that game, 3 for the Lightning. Dolphins 3-1 in shots on goal. Bryant Navarro scores the lone Dolphins goal in that game as Lauren Smith looking for Alexa Appel in front. And Appel rattles one off the crossbar. It goes straight down and does not cross the goal line. Alexa Appel looking for a senior day goal, and she just shakes her head in disbelief.
Yeah, another post for the Dolphins. I believe that might be their 4th of the afternoon, Joe. So Dolphins with 3 goals, 4 posts, have played well. Been credited with 25 shots on goal, have gotten 13 corner kicks, haven't given up any shots on goal or any corners, as the Dolphins continue to dominate here and wind down the final 5:45 of their CUNYAC regular season.
And will this be yet another corner? It might be, and it is. So corner kick number 14. Dolphins keep piling up the corner kick tally, and Adriana Perel to take it yet again. And the final potential matchup for the men in the CUNYAC tournament, of course, is Baruch College, the last team they faced in the conference portion of their regular season schedule. Dolphins won the game earlier this week back on Wednesday handily. Final score in that one 4-0 as that cross travels beyond the far post, rolls down toward the corner. Paulina Ambrose able to corral it. Dolphins playing the ball back toward the middle of the field, as that's Rebecca Deloya with it.
You know, Joe, but every one of those teams that you mentioned as potential opponents for the men present their own dangers in their own ways. And, you know, head coach John Tardy has been around long enough and has coached enough of these games to know that once you get into a one-and-done game, these games take on personalities of their own, and you could really throw the regular season out the window. And, you know, if you're Brooklyn or Lehman College and you've already faced the Dolphins and allowed just a single goal, you're going into the game already with a little bit of confidence. And even, you know, John Jay and the other opponents that you mentioned, you know, they know that if they come out and play their game and, you know, get the right opportunity and that early goal, then anything could happen.
I think the biggest concern for Baruch, and we mentioned it entering that matchup with the Dolphins, they were really struggling to score goals. And in that game against CSI, they failed to score yet again, and you certainly don't want to enter the CUNYAC tournament really starved for goals and having trouble scoring and even gaining any possession time as they did in that game against CSI. Only 2 shots for Baruch in that game, 1 of them on goal. It was a rough showing for the Bearcats, but we also mentioned how it could benefit them to have gotten a late look at the Dolphins in their final regular season game, a team that they certainly will need to beat, or very well could need to beat, to secure a CUNYAC championship or reach that championship round. And it wasn't a good showing for them earlier this week against CSI. So hopefully if you're a fan of the Bearcats, they can make some adjustments and turn it around entering the CUNYAC tournament. Not only adjustments in order to defeat the Dolphins, but fix their issues on the attack as well.
There's Nicole Mignon check back into the game, and that's great news for Dolphin fans. If you were with us here earlier in the first half, she took a ball, right off the nose and was shaken up, but great to see Nicole back out on the field.
Victoria Sanchez has not been as fortunate to get back in the game. Certainly looked like an ankle injury, and it indeed was walking around without a cleat on a little bit during the half, but certainly hesitant to put weight on that right foot. If she doesn't play again until CUNYAC tournament time, that gives her quite a lot of time for recovery, and Adriana Perello fires high.
And Sanchez with her best game of the year here in that, the action before she got hurt, picking up her second and third goals of the year, and certainly had an opportunity at goal number 3, and coming in and playing well, and one of the players the Dolphins are counting on. So hopefully she'll be back in time for the tournament on Halloween.
Here comes Aparicio looking for Mignon along the near sideline. And that's cleared over the near sideline yet again. Here come the Bulldogs. As I know you can hear us right now, our picture is frozen, but we did have this issue very late in our last broadcast. So we'll do our best to help you follow the action.
Yeah, Dolphins looking to wrap up their regular season, Joe. They're going to go into the tournament with some momentum of going undefeated in the conference, and of course we'll look up to wrap up their regular season on Monday here.
That Monday matchup against Rosemont. Start of that game scheduled for 3 p.m. We expect to be on the air at 2:45. We did expect to be on the air a bit sooner today for an 11 o'clock start. We didn't get underway until about 11:40. Brooklyn had some transportation issues on the way in. And unfortunately, issues persisted out on the pitch for them in this one. Dolphins 1 minute, 30 seconds away from completing a shutout. And the Bulldogs will see their CUNYAC season come to an end with an overall record of 2-4 in the conference. They will fall to 3-10 overall. Dolphins, of course, a perfect 6-0 in the CUNYAC, and with the victory, will improve to 9-6 overall as another Dolphin shot travels high. And I'm going to get another shot count for the Dolphins in just a moment, but I have to believe that they're up near 50, and I think that was 49 unless the app updated that quickly. Right now I have 48. We'll see if another shot is added in just a moment. There's 49. So
that's a lot of shots, Joe.
That is as high of a shot tally as I have ever seen in a game that we've covered here at home. And they may not be done yet, even with 40 seconds left. At the rate the Dolphins have taken shots, there may be at least one more in the cards for them as they are moving forward. It's Appel looking for Aparicio. Aparicio works back to the inside and tried to split a pair of Bulldogs. Couldn't do it, but they fail to clear it out. Here comes Alexa Appel, and she dribbles one in and by Pena. And with 22 seconds to go in the second half, Alexa Appel picks up a senior day goal.
Yeah, and Joe, you mentioned it perfectly, a senior day goal for Appel, and, a great way for Alexa to finish out the CUNYAC regular season is she's going to pick up a goal. She picked up a goal in our last broadcast, and, Joe, as you get into the tournament, you want a lot of players playing well, as many as possible, and Alexa has played well for the Dolphins down the stretch of the regular season.
She started this game and was right in the middle of the action in the first half, and she's been around goal with several opportunities throughout this game, and finally, with 22 seconds left, she's able to break through and score, and that has to feel good on this senior day. She was recognized before the game, and this game will come to a close with that fourth Appel goal. Dolphins defeat the Bulldogs by a final score of 4-0. They improve to a perfect 6-0 in the CUNYAC, And CSI will enter the CUNYAC tournament as the top seed.
Yeah, and Joe, if you're a CSI Dolphin fan, you got exactly what you wanted today. You love it when they put that 0 on the scoreboard, because if you never give up a goal, you can never lose. And Dolphins doing plenty enough offensively. 2 goals in the first half by Victoria Sanchez was all the Dolphins needed as they win by a final score of 4-0.
We will have a post-game guest. It will be Brianna DiStefano joining us in just a moment.
Yeah, so DiStefano joining us here on the post-game show, Joe. But, another exciting year, another exciting regular season for the College of Staten Island as they finish the season undefeated, 6-0 in CUNYAC conference play as they win by a final score of 4-0. And, really go advance into the tournament with plenty of momentum in the conference as they finish the regular season in conference play with a big 2-1 win over Lehman, and then finish the regular season with a 4-0 win over Brooklyn College.
So it will be Dave joined by Brianna DiStefano in just a moment on the field as both teams shake hands, and we'll get Brianna over here for our post-game interview. Once again, our final score, Dolphins over the Bulldogs 4-0. And CSI will continue rolling, entering the CUNYAC tournament with that victory. CSI has now won back-to-back games. They look to make it 3.
You're not videoing me, right? Really? I have to talk into this?
Oh, I'm sorry, Dave. I thought you were doing an on-field post-game interview as we're joined by Brianna DiStefano. Brianna, how good does it feel to pick up a big victory like this on Senior Day?
It feels really good. I mean, we all work together really hard, and, we all just try to keep going towards the goal and not stopping, giving everything we can. So it's really nice, especially on Senior Day. Even like Lex's senior, she got a goal too, so it was really good to see.
Well, it had to feel good for Alexa. We were talking about how close she came several times throughout the game, and then finally able to break through at the end. And, of course, you guys entered the CUNYAC tournament at the top of the conference. What's your biggest focus entering the tournament, looking to repeat yet again?
I think our biggest focus is going to be playing our game. Sometimes we get a little caught up in the other team and what they're doing, but we just have to stay focused, play our game, possess the ball, and keep going forward, and I think we're going to do fine.
Brianna, this team has won the CUNYAC Conference 3 years in a row. You're looking for your 4th consecutive win. This team has done a lot of winning, and you have a lot of senior veteran leadership on this team. What are you looking for as you look to defend your title for the 4th consecutive time?
So I think, of course, we're looking for a good game, everyone playing hard, playing together, and then especially getting to NCAAs, again, trying to make it past that first round. Last year we scored the first goal in it by Lauren, so I think that we just have higher expectations for this year and hopefully getting past that first round.
Brianna, we mentioned your team defending 3 consecutive championships, but this year doing it under first-year head coach Brittany Caceres. And, the team has really come out and looked like they've really played well under head coach Caceres all year long. What's it been like this year in the head coach's first year?
It's been a great year for us. I mean, we have only been with her for a few months, and we already learned so much and working together more as a team, more connected and focused. So it was just a great thing to have her here, and we're really excited about, the championship, hopefully NCAAs, and next season too for the rest of the team.
All right, Brianna, thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your senior day. We'll see you back out there on Monday. Thank you. Brianna DiStefano joining us for a post-game interview as the Dolphins wrap up the CUNYAC portion of their regular season schedule with a 4-0 victory over the Brooklyn College Bulldogs. And that will do it for our coverage of Dolphins and Bulldogs as we receive the signal to break. Thank you for joining us here on CSI Sportsnet. For Mike Babuski, Dave Pizzuto, the mastermind of our operation, Ina Wong, and all of us here at the College of Staten Island, we thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Once again, our final score, Dolphins 4 and Bulldogs 0. We're back on the air Monday for the Dolphins taking on Rosemont. Coverage begins at 2:45 p.m. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon.